Israel has resumed its ground operations in Gaza after a temporary ceasefire between the country and Hamas has expired. The 7-day ceasefire was extended twice, allowing for the release of 105 hostages held by the Hamas and 240 Palestinian prisoners kept in Israeli prisons. It also provided for the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza. In the hour before the truce was set to end, Israel has stated that it has intercepted a rocket fired from Gaza. On the other hand, media reports are coming in that Israeli air and artillery strikes are taking place across Gaza after the truce expired, including in Rafah near the border with Egypt. Still with us on the broadcast is Mr. Sanjeev Srivastav. Sir, what do you make of these developments that are coming in from the Middle East?
Well, Pia, Israel is fighting a war against terrorism, and this war is now continuing after the temporary ceasefire. And this resumption of this war is, in my assessment, was necessary because, the Hamas and its intentions to target Israel has not gone away, and Hamas still has an intention to target Israel. And if Israel leaves Hamas intact in Gaza, and if the Hamas's rule continues in Gaza, then I think Hamas can come up with a bigger attack on Israel, a terror attack, what they did on October 7th. And Pia, I would like to just reiterate once again that the real intention of this terrorist organization, Hamas, and their backers such as Iran and Hezbollah and Houthi, etc., is to completely isolate Israel in the Middle East region. And their main intention was to disrupt the normalization process which was going on between Israel and Arab countries, and they wanted to disrupt it. So in future also, if Israel has to come up with any bigger plans for regional integration or what we call the Middle East peace process or normalization process, if that process has to begin again, then I think it has to be ensured that no terrorist organization, Hamas-like terrorist organization, does not carry out any such attacks in future too. So if normalization process has to proceed, if the I2U2-like initiatives have to proceed, if India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor-like initiative has to go further in future, then I think it has to be ensured that no terrorist organization dares to disrupt this process yet again. And for that to do, I think Israel has obligation and responsibility to carry out such attacks so that Hamas-like terrorist entity gets decimated and destroyed. So I think Hamas-like terrorist entities must be destroyed, and that's what precisely Israel is doing. But having said that, let me say that Israel will have to be very careful because a lot of humanitarian casualties has happened, collateral damages have happened thus far in the war. And still the hostage crisis has not resolved completely. And so when Israel operates in the various parts of northern Gaza, and now they are moving to southern Gaza, where there's a huge density of people because of the relocation of the masses from northern Gaza to southern Gaza. So Israel will have to carry out their operation in such a way, and obviously that should be hard intelligence-based operations only, so that only Hamas terrorists get targeted and structures get targeted. People do not get into the harm's way whenever Israel is operating in a southern Gaza in such a densely populated area. So I think Israel's operations must be carried out, but it should be carried out in such a way that humanitarian casualties does not occur any further. So that is imperative. This is that Israel cannot ignore at all. So I think that's also another factor. Last point here, Pia, this is another important point, is that this war should not get escalated into a regional conflict. That is another concern that Israel will have to keep in mind. And that's what precisely the United States of America is trying its best. Antony Blinken again went to Middle East region, and other countries are also active, and they have deployed their military might. Britain has also now deployed one of their, destroyers in the Middle East region, only to ensure that this war does not get escalated into a regional conflict. And if this war, and that is also another imperative of the Israel, which will have to kept in mind. So I think the preventing regional escalation is another very important priority, which Israel will have to keep in mind while going ahead with their operation. But yes, after this 1 week of temporary ceasefire, so now the fight has resumed, and I think Israel will carry out these operations in times ahead.
All right, so with that, I would like to thank you for joining us on the broadcast, presenting your analysis of what exactly is taking place in the Middle East. But viewers, that is not all that we're tracking for you on the broadcast. In fact, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has also spoken about the situation in the Middle East, particularly related to the hostages. Let's in fact listen in to his statement.
Very much focused, as we've been all along, on trying to make sure that this conflict doesn't spread, that it doesn't escalate in other places. But we're also using our diplomacy to look at not only what's happening today and how we're handling that, but also what happens the day after in Gaza, and how we can get on the path to a just, lasting and secure peace.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.